And hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing co host,
Stefan Frederick is in the house.
Stefan Frederick, who is an attorney, a medium, and most importantly, my amazing husband.
I thought you were going to
Welcome.
say pretty.
Well, I really almost say in my handsome co-host, but I figure if I don't say it, you would say it. And talking about handsome, we also have an amazing producer. Mr. Mark Clark is in the house. Hello, Mark.
Hi, my clock.
And today we have
Buenos noches,
Mark.
senor.
Your
Oh, it's
Spanish.
nighttime.
Yeah, I know your Spanish is a little rusty. Buenos dias, Mark. It's not
Buenas
nighttime
tardes.
yet. Buenas tardes.
Oh,
Yes.
true.
Yeah, all true. So,
Bye.
you better talk to Dave because Dave's Spanish is a hell of a lot better than yours, Mark. So let's work.
He
on
was
that.
rolling those R's. Did you hear him?
Yeah,
On that
Dave,
commercial?
Dave, kudos.
Yeah, he
Um,
did good.
He did very good. So today we have an amazing show, a special show, and a show that is special for all three of us because all three of us had an amazing connection with our moms. And Sunday it's Mother's Day, so I wanted to take today as a way to honor our moms. And so the show we call it a tapestry of love, honoring the women who weaved our stories and lives. How beautiful is that?
I love it.
So we're gonna have an amazing conversation, and we all gonna get to share, you know, something about our moms and how we continue to honor their memory. But before that, there's plenty of stuff I need to talk to you guys about because our house it's becoming a farm and it's out of control. People, we may need help. I woke up. I usually wake up at around 5 in the morning. By 5:30, I'm heading out of the house because I go to my CrossFit, my 6 o'clock CrossFit. By the way, kudos to 1620 and the crew, Mr. Matt, who should be listening. Anyway, so I'm just getting ready, and I'm just looking out the kitchen window into the yard. We have a pond, and I kid you not, people, there's three ducks standing on outside of the pond on the edge of the pond where Stephen now brings food to them every day, and they were just standing there waiting for the food. I thought to myself, this is out of control. Now we have ducks who all lined up early in the morning waiting for Stephen to go to the pond to put food down. Stephen, what's wrong with you?
I don't think anything. They were waiting for going on the Spanish subject. They say ayuno. They're waiting for breakfast.
Oh,
I mean,
my
what can I
goodness.
tell you? I'm going to need yet another job to be able to financially support the bird seed and food and everything else that I'm putting out there. But other than that, they're very excited, and I'm very excited, and I know you're very excited. You love watching those ducks come and eat for breakfast, like eat
By
the
the way,
seeds
if
for
you
breakfast.
if you don't follow us on social media, this is a great opportunity to do so so that we can show you. I have a picture, I have evidence, that they were waiting because I couldn't help it. I had to take a picture. I didn't send it to Steven at 5:30 in the morning because he was sleeping, but I certainly sent it to you later on that morning. And by the way, when Steven says I need to get another job, please do not hear that we're asking for donations because Steven had a client who handed him cash yesterday to feed the dogs. Can you talk about
Well,
that,
she's
please? Can you clarify that for people?
well. First of all, it's just she's just fabulous. This client, she is fantastic, and she's done my classes. So she came to see me in person for a reading, and she is connected like I've never seen. She's just really, really connected, and she is also an animal advocate. She does a lot with cats and rescues, and So I finished up the reading with her, and I gave her a hug, and I was sort of walking her out to the door of my office, and I noticed that she was holding like a wad of cash, and I wasn't sure how much was there. And she said, "Here you go," and she went to hand it to me, and I looked at her, and I'm like, "What is that?" And she said, "It's duck money." I'm like, I'm staring at her like I'm trying to process what. I'm like, "Are we still here on Earth?" And she started laughing. I'm like, I don't know what does this mean? And she said, it's duck money. You're feeding the ducks. And I said, I am feeding ducks. I said, but what is that? She said, well, you had asked for duck money. I'm like, no, I would never ask for money. Maybe like you just said, Helix, maybe saying I need an extra job. As Walmart yesterday, getting bird seed, I had a whole conversation with this woman, and told her she said, you got to feed the birds. And I started saying I needed a third job to feed the birds. And so we started chatting, and I was, Thus and Elix thought for sure I'd be home before him. And I wasn't, because I was in Walmart talking to this woman in the bird aisle. Getting back to Lori, that's my client who I love. And then I told her, I'm like, no. She's like, oh my God, I thought you said that you needed, duck money.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a
no.
Steven story.
I should have taken it. You know what? Maybe I could have started having someone make little duck clothes.
Oh
Like
my
little duck
God.
pants or duck dresses or.
Yeah, no, we're not collecting duck money. So let's be very clear about that. Steven can get a second job if he needs to now feed the dogs among the many other animals he's feeding around our house, because that leads me to story number 2.
Oh, Lord.
Now our house, a portion of our house is now closed to the general public because we cannot use a door because a bird decided to create a nest, and there's babies. And so Steven's like, well, no, we can't open the door. So now the front door to our house is out of service. And I wouldn't be surprised if he literally puts that yellow tape,
I almost thought of that.
do not trespass, so that the delivery people don't come near the door, because he doesn't want anyone to disturb the birds. And I said, you better keep an eye on the birds. As soon as they fly, we're removing that wreath so that we can get our house back in service.
Wait a minute. So, but first of all,
Okay.
you're exaggerating. It's
No,
not
I'm not
our front door.
exaggerating.
It's the door to the in-law apartment. So
Which
we
is in
don't-
the front of the house. So
Yeah,
for
but we don't
most
need
peop-
to. We don't need to use that door going in and out. I mean,
Hold on. My cousin was staying with us the last 2 weeks, and
Hi,
he
Ava.
had her go up and down the stairs around our front entrance because he didn't want her
'Cause
to
I'm
open the
nuts.
door. And you are not. So
I'm
let's,
nuts. And-
yeah. So
Well, she did.
I'm
Ava
not
did say-
exaggerating.
No, but Ava did say to me, because she was leaving, she had to head out to New York for work for a training, and she said, "Yeah, but I have a luggage that she brought in." I'm like, "Don't worry about it." So I picked up this big luggage, brought it upstairs, like up an entire flight, crossed across the first floor, the first floor of the house, and then went out the front door, and then went down the stairs with this big luggage, so we don't affect the birds. So just in a nutshell, what happened is it was a Christmas wreath that we do, all through the house, and I was slow to remove them. And when I decided to remove them, everything was good, except I went to grab the wreath that was on the in-law apartment door. And when I went to grab it, I just picked it up. And then when I went to put it down, on sort of the top back of it was a little nest. And I remember seeing a little bird going back and forth, but I thought she was just taking like parts of the wreath to make a nest somewhere. And then I see the nest with like 4 eggs, blue eggs in there. I'm like, oh my God. So, then Elix's, craziness, like, well, can we move the wreath just a little over?
To another door that we actually don't use, but no, we can't, because
that's
we
where
cannot disturb
she
the
won't find
birds.
it, and then it will be on our minds and our hearts that we just neglected these babies because the mother can't find the nest.
Yeah.
So I put it right back, and now no one can go near that door. As a matter of fact, I haven't even told Elix this. So even the
God.
stairs inside to go down to the in-law apartment, we can't use them anymore because the babies are so big. If they see us coming down the stairs, they may fly out before it's time, and I can't have that on my conscience. So they're almost getting out, and then as soon as they get out, I will remove the wreath, and then we put, which happens every spring, we put these bouquets of flowers everywhere, especially the ones on our front porch. Every year since we've been here on the Cape, birds have nests there and have babies.
So
Isn't it fun living with me?
Oh, fun! It's one way I can describe it. It's crazy. I mean, the stories go on and on. We have raccoons. He leaves apples for the raccoons at night. If the raccoons are eating because they come in early, we can't leave. We can't even take the dog out through that kitchen door because it disturbs the raccoons. We have deer that like to eat berries, so we can't go into the berry area when the deer are around because we disturb them. I'm telling you, one of these days you're gonna hear an announcement that we're moving so that the animals can have the run of the house. So we'll be getting a new house just so that the animals can.
We'll be
spread
living in a
about.
tent in the yard.
Oh my God!
No access to the house.
And this
So,
is, I mean, people, if you think I'm exaggerating, I promise you it's not an exaggeration. This is exactly what happens day in and day out. So
let me
there's my
just
story. Yeah, go
before
ahead.
we finish this, let me just say that anyone who's an animal lover will get this. My grandfather, who I never met, Grandpa Frederick, who my middle name I'm named after. That's my middle name. That's the reason why I said Stephen Frederick, because my two grandfathers I was named after. And Grandpa Frederick used to tell his four daughters, my mom being one, that if you don't like animals, you're not a good person. So it doesn't matter if you don't agree with that. I don't care. It's what I live by. And if you don't like animals, you're not a good person. Don't come around me. Just saying.
I think I like animals. I just don't, go to the extreme that you do. But that's
Well,
another
you
story.
don't have to. You don't have
I
to.
know I don't because that we have you to do all of that. So anything else before we take a break? We got to talk about our moms.
Yes, yes. Well, I have. Listen, we're both very, very busy. I just last Saturday did my third episode of Doc Echoes with Matthew, and it was on the Cape, and it was a fantastic location. It was fantastic people that own this location, and the reading and the entire experience was fantastic. I cannot wait for people to get to see this episode when it comes out on Amazon Prime. And incidentally, one of my episodes is already out on Amazon Prime. So again, if you haven't seen it, rush to Amazon Prime, type in Doc Echoes Paranormal Series, and there's 3 episodes out, and I am the second episode.
Beautiful.
Yes.
A shout out to Matthew Kondraki if he's listening.
Matthew.
I hope he's listening. He's an amazing, so creative and talented filmmaker.
Yes.
So let's. I think it's time we take a break. We're gonna take a commercial break. When we come back, we are going to talk about our moms, and this is a special episode dedicated to honoring those special women ahead of Mother's Day this Sunday. So stick around. Listen to the conversation. If you want to join the conversation, you can call us at 508-222-1320. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing co host,
Stephen Frederick.
Stephen, the medium, attorney, very handsome co host, and of course, my wonderful husband. And today, we're having a wonderful conversation in honoring our mothers, a tapestry of love, honoring the women who weave our stories in lives. And of course, that is our moms. Now, today, or this weekend, of course, marks for me and for our producer, Mark, the second Mother's Day without our moms because we lost them very close to each other 2 years ago. And Stephen, for you, 4 years because you lost your mom just before the
Yeah, well,
COVID pandemic.
it would be the fifth Mother's Day.
The fifth Mother's Day with exactly without Claire, your mom, and she passed just before the COVID pandemic. So I wanted to make this show an opportunity to really honor and celebrate our moms. And the first thing that that I thought about, so where does Mother Day come from? Like, what is the origin of Mother's Day? Do you know, Stephen, what is the
Nope.
origin of Mother's Day?
Mm-mm.
So let me tell you, I bet many people don't know this, but Mother's Day has ancient roots, but the modern version of the holiday, as celebrated in many countries around the world today, included here in the United States, it was actually originated here in the United States in the 20th century. And the official credit for establishing Mother's Day as a holiday goes to Anna Jarvis, who wanted to honor her own mother, Anne Jarvis, who was a activist, and express gratitude for the sacrifices mothers make for their children. Now, this is what happened. Anna Jarvis held a memorial for her mom in 1908, 3 years after her mother's death. And then she campaigned to make Mother's Day a recognized holiday in the United States. Now, her efforts bore fruit when in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation officially establishing the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day. But here's where things, went sour. Anna Jarvis became disillusioned with the commercialization of Mother's Day as we know it today, because she envisioned it as a day of personal celebration between mothers and families rather than a commercial spectacle, which is really a lot of what it is today. So she spent the latter part of her life trying to remove Mother's Day from the calendar altogether. Did you know that? I didn't know that. But
Did not.
despite that commercialization, Mother's Day remains an important occasion for expressing love and appreciation for mothers and maternal figures worldwide. Different countries celebrate it on various days, but the sentiment of honoring motherhood and maternal bonds remain universal. That's where Mother's Day came from, and that's pretty amazing to me. So, for me personally, I mean, oh my goodness, 2 years. It seemed like it was yesterday. I still can't believe that my mom is not here. I don't know. A lot of people I hear often it gets easier, but I don't know. I don't quite know how easier it gets because, I still feel that her absence, her physical absence, her spiritual absence, of course, is here, with us, but her physical absence, it's just at times somewhat overwhelming. What about for you, Stephen? What do you remember most about Claire, your beautiful mom?
Well, I mean, I think I would need like a day if I was to really start like talking about her. I mean, this was a woman who was a single mother, with two young boys when my dad took his life, and she was left, you know, with two boys. But it took me, it took me a number of excuse me, years to also, it was always about, wow, she raised two boys. But then it took me a little bit to realize, my God, but she not only was left with two boys, she also lost her partner. She lost her husband. And again, at such a young age, and having these two boys, but somehow, some way, like, like a lot of people, Elix will say, with you included, I stand behind, I had the best mother in the world. The fact that this woman was just a high school graduate with no college degree, and made sure that me and my brother went to private schools from from the get-go up to 12th grade, because she wanted to make sure that we got a good education. And in her eyes, she thought like a private Catholic school would give us the best education to prepare us for college, which it did. And obviously we went to college. But there were things, Elix, that were so selfless from her. When I finished Rhode Island College, that's where I graduated from. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of money, so every year my mother would fill out the FAFSA forms, whatever they're called. I don't remember anymore. And I would get, some aid, but it didn't cover everything. So every year I had a certain amount of tuition that was just like a lot of us, just built up. And after you graduate, after a certain amount of time from an undergrad, you have to pay back. And I remember not much after I graduated, I was just like her. We weren't big gamblers at all, but she used to play the number every night, and she won, I don't know how much it was, maybe 10,000, 15,000, something like that. It was no more than that, even though that's a good amount. And the first thing she did was she paid off, and I don't know about my brother. I'm not really sure, so I can't speak on his behalf, but I know for me, she paid off the student loans. It was not even in a blink of an eye. It was to make my life easier. She paid it off. Now, remember, this is a woman that did not have a lot of money, yet she used that money to pay off my student loans. So immediately, I was looking for work with no debt, no college debt, which was incredible. And she always said, all she wanted was to have children, which obviously she did. And she also, she never remarried. And I know so much of that was, we were little boys, but I was the youngest and I was 8, and her focus was not on herself, not on a guy. The focus was on her 2 boys. So that's the reason why she didn't get married. She just didn't, I guess she didn't have the need for that. She just wanted to make sure that we were okay. And she, I don't say was, because she still is, because she's with me all the time. My best friend, just a couple of nights ago, on May 8th, 2 days ago, they would have had their 75th wedding anniversary if they were alive. And that night I had a visit from her. Not a dream, but a visit, which was really, really cool. So, I can just go on and on and on. And let me just say, too, Elix, you brought this up when you said my mom died right before COVID. Mm-hmm. There is absolutely like nothing anybody can say to me against this, because I know this is the 100% truth, that when she died February 12th, 2020. And there is every fiber in me, in my spirit, in my essence, knows that she did that to make sure I could be with her when she died. Yes. And if it was less than a month later is when everything shut down. And that, you, me, we all know, and I'm sure people listening, we all know people that had, like loved ones in the hospital or nursing homes, whatever, that were sick and you couldn't see them. And I knew there's no way my mom was going to go out like that with me. There's just no way. And, I was there. There was no restriction. So I was there, the full night before she passed away. And, because of, her being ill, she wasn't speaking. She wasn't verbal for like probably a year, maybe even more. I don't know. I don't remember, but I do know that the day before she died, I was with her next to the bed. Elix was with me, but then he had to leave to go to work, and he came back, and I held my mom's hand and said, "Excuse me again. It's okay, Ma. You can let go." And I know, as a medium, I knew everybody. My dad was standing next to the bed, my aunts, her sisters, my grandparents. I'm privy to be able to see that, but that doesn't make it easier. As a matter of fact, it makes it even more difficult to see that they're all waiting. So I said to my mom, it's okay for you to go. Everyone's waiting for you. I love you. And Elix was standing right behind me. And my mother, like, just turned her head and looked at me. And, like, there was no issues, nothing wrong with her. She looked at me and said, I love you. And I broke down. Elix, I remember I whipped my whole body to you. I'm like, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes,
And I remember you started
remember.
like getting very teary eyed and saying, absolutely so. But that was the greatest gift she gave me, that I think I would have went crazy not being able to see her, whenever I wanted to, which, we used to see her constantly, with COVID restrictions. And I know she did that purposely.
Yeah, yeah, she sure did. I'll never forget that. And Claire, I feel so privileged that I got to know her, and I got to be a part of her life for 25 plus years.
And she loved you.
Yeah, well, she did, and and she was. I tell you this all the time. I I just this woman, a single mom with two young kids, and like you said, no college education, and the fact that she put you and your brother through private school, it's unbelievable. I mean, that woman was determined. She was resilient. She did everything that she could possibly do to provide for her children, and she did a wonderful job.
And paying my student loan
Yeah, no question.
completely, 100%.
No question. That's really incredible. But Stephen, we do need to take a break. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this amazing conversation honoring mothers everywhere. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex, and with me, my amazing co host,
Stephen the Medium.
Stephen the Medium, who is an attorney, a medium, and my wonderful and very handsome husband. And today we are having a conversation honoring our mothers, a tapestry of love, honoring the women who weave our stories and lives. And before the break, Stephen was sharing with us, the story of Claire Masek, his mom, who I happened to meet and have a wonderful relationship for 20 plus years, right, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
And in celebrating Mother's Day, it's really a beautiful tradition that really acknowledges and honors that profound impact that our mothers and mother figures, because oftentimes some of us have also had mother figures, and the impact that they've had in our lives and society as a whole. And there's many, many reasons, Stephen, why I feel it's important to celebrate Mother's Day. First, I think of unconditional love. And when I think of unconditional love, something I've always share with you is my first experience of unconditional love came from a mother figure, Taiti, who was my aunt and somebody that I grew up with and I was really connected with. And I felt unconditional love from her. I never felt unconditional love from anyone but her. And then, of course, I met Stephen and I've known what unconditional love looks like. But that, a mother or a mother figure, that's something that they provide, also nurturing and guidance. And I can say the same thing for my aunt Taiti. She was my guide. I mean, my goodness, I grew up. I always say the man who I am today was because of how she brought me into under her wing and the guidance that she provided me as a young child. And I would say Claire did the same for you as a young kid, right?
Yes.
And then this one, I know strength and resilience. Now, when it comes to my mom, uh, the my mom that I lost 2 years ago, and
No, last year, Elix.
last year, I'm thinking two Mother's Day. This is my second Mother's Day without my mom, but I lost her last year. That's right, Stephen. Thank you. When I think of strength and resilience, can't you just think of my mom?
Yeah. Yeah.
That woman was strong. That woman was a fighter. That woman was resilient. When she was determined to do something, nothing was stopping her. And that played out up until her very death. She got sick and she was determined to overcome and to get better. And after her first stroke, she was determined, I'm gonna get back to my regular life. And she did.
Mm-hmm.
And she sort of blew us all away because at 90 something at the time, 95, 96, she was just so resilient. But the same can be said about your mom, Stephen. Your mom was just a strong woman filled with resilience.
She
That's
was.
that's how I experienced her.
She was. And if she had something to say, this Irish woman, you were going to hear it. So, and I mean, I would just be remiss if I didn't say how physically beautiful this woman was.
Yeah.
When she was growing up, people used to always constantly say she looked like Elizabeth Taylor. I mean, my mom, right up until the end, had beautiful skin and was just physically. I mean, of course, there's obviously way more to that, internally also, but she was physically a beautiful woman, right?
Absolutely. And the apple doesn't fall far from the tree because, I mean, of course, you are just as beautiful as your mom, but your mouth is exactly the same as your mom's. It's no different. You got the same mouth. I live with. How many times do I say, "Oh my God, I marry your mom. I marry
A lot.
your mother."
A lot.
I say that all the time.
Yes.
Um, what were you gonna say?
I was going to say, and I take that as a compliment.
Well, you should. You
Yes.
should, because she was
Yes.
a wonderful person.
Yes.
Moms also they're role models. Mothers serve as powerful role models. They demonstrate qualities such as compassion, empathy, integrity, and they teach us important life lessons through their words, through their actions. Um, that bonding and connection, the bond between a mother and a child, and I can speak of that, and so can you, Stephen. We had a bond with our moms. Taking care of my mom was, for me, I felt like it was a privilege. And you remember, my mom wouldn't go anywhere without holding my hand. Do you remember
Always.
that?
Always.
Always. She wouldn't go, and it was like an automatic thing. It was like, the child becomes the adult, and the adult that becomes the child. That's how it felt. She held my hand, and she wouldn't let go. I think the last time she let go was when she took that last breath, and I was holding her hand, by the way. So
That was a gift. That was also a gift to you.
it really was, Stephen. I think of how privileged, and I've talked about this many times before. Look, when when you have somebody like your mom in hospice, you have it's a wonderful thing because they're with you, and we had her home with hospice, so I was here 24/7, and that is wonderful. And at the same time, that also gives you a front seat of the good, the bad, and the ugly. And at times, that having that front seat of seeing and watching the decline, so hard, Stephen. And I will tell you this, I would not give that up for anything in the world, because being in those last few moments with her, holding her hand, and experiencing her taking that last breath was a privilege. I don't know what else to call it, but it really was a privilege, and I'm super forever grateful, um, you know, to have had the opportunity. I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to take care of her. I'm grateful that you allow me the opportunity to bring her here with us, and you are nothing but supportive. But you know, what a privilege. Because I don't have any other words for it, but other than it was a privilege, don't you think?
I do. I do. Absolutely. I think it was. That's a great word for it, and I think it couldn't have went any other way because of the connection with your mother, and you're a caregiver. You're a caregiver, a healer. That is innately who you are. It's just every fiber of you is like that. So knowing, you don't, until you experience, you don't know the full extent of what you're going to see, what you're going to feel. But again, it was just one of those things, Helix, that you just knew right away. I just want her here.
Yes.
And certainly, that's what we did. So but it was a lot, because at nighttime we come upstairs to sleep, and we've got the camera on her, so at any point, which was constantly, we would just watch and see if everything's okay. And it's a lot, though. It definitely is a lot emotionally.
Yeah. No question about it. So what I want to do, Stephen, is I actually want to take a break. I know we're a little early, but I also, when we come back, I want to talk to our producer, Mark Clark, because his mom, Miss Ellie, was a very special woman to both of us, a very close friend to my mom, and certainly a very special mom to him. So I want to ask Mark, um, how he remembers Miss Ellie. So, Mark, let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with this conversation. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing co host,
Stephen Frederick.
Stephen Frederick, Stephen, attorney, medium, and amazing husband. And today we're honoring our moms just before Mother's Day this Sunday. And our conversation is a tapestry of love, honoring the women who weave our stories and lives. And we talked about Claire Masick, Stephen's mom. We talked about my mom. And the next mom I want to honor is Miss Ellie, our producer Mark Clark's mom. Miss Ellie was a wonderful human. We were so privileged to get to meet Miss Ellie, to get to experience so many fun times with Miss Ellie. Miss Ellie also got to meet my mom, and they became really close friends, which is interesting because my mom was limited in speaking, yet the two of them would speak, I don't know about what and how, but they would go on and on and on and on and on, and it was fun watching them. They love each other, and I know they're having the time of their lives in spirit together. So, Mark, tell us about, how did you remember Miss Ellie, your mom?
Well, my mom had to be one of the most unique people. That's the way, I put it. This is actually the first Mother's Day without her. The anniversary of her passing is June 5th. For me, my cousin and his wife have invited me to their house Sunday to celebrate Mother's Day with them. So I don't have to go through it. Mom was, as Stephen and Elix could tell you, a very unique person. She loved to cook. She loved to bake. And any excuse she got to make something for somebody, she did that. She spent 33 years working for the Attleboro Police Department. So it was kind of unique growing up with a mom that was part of the police department. Every cop in town knew me. So I couldn't cause much trouble in my youth. But, excuse me, Stephen and Elix were the benefactor of many of her treats, I guess we could call them.
Yes,
A lot of treats.
A lot of treats. I mean, if we said we like chocolate chip cookies, the next time we saw her, she had a batch of chocolate chip cookies that she made from scratch. Cheesecake, she made cheesecake. Cakes, she made cakes. Oh, my goodness. Miss Ellie, you know what? When I think of Miss Ellie, I think the best way I could describe Miss Ellie is as a servant. That woman was committed to being of service to others, and she was so generous and so given, and I'm at a loss of words, Stephen. I don't know what else to say about Miss Ellie.
Well, I think she also she was just someone that I felt was an old soul, even though she was living in the present time that she was here. I think she had the ability to be able to sort of, connect with the past, connect with the future, like her stories. Like, we were also privileged to go over to Miss Ellie's house with Mark and Mark's dad and have dinner, and Consuelo, Elix's mom, came, and we just had a great time. And just as an example of who this woman was, when you just sat with her and talked to her, I loved it because she had these great, great stories. But I remember one of the times we went over to eat, and as I walked in the curio, I saw this Anna Lee doll that she had collected, and I collect Anna Lee dolls. So I said, Miss Ellie, oh my God, I love that you have Anna Lee dolls. And then she said, not just that one. And then she pointed to another part of the house, and I saw more. And then before I knew it, she was pulling out these. She had went way back, and she had these very special anniversary Anna Lees. And then she was showing me them all, and I think we delayed us eating because I was so excited. She was so excited. And then at one point, Mark said, when you get a chance, call the house. So I called, and then Miss Ellie said that when anything ever happens to her, she wanted all her Anna Lee dolls to come to me. And, of course, I got very emotional and was in tears. And that was just, as Elix said, the servant part of her. It was just about what could she do to make you feel good, to make you feel special. That was what I experienced, Mark, with your mother. You couldn't meet this woman and not fall in love with her immediately.
She was just the type, if somebody had a birthday, she made sure that they had a cake. The police department, where she used to call them her guys, her boys, she made sure they were well fed. She was on the board of directors of the senior center here in Attleboro and did a lot of work for them. She was just so devoted into things. And we lost her suddenly. She was preparing to have heart surgery. They were going to replace a valve in her heart. And it was on a Sunday. We were going to go to Wright's Farm for dinner. And she said, I don't feel good. She laid down. My cousin went to the house to take her trash out for her and talk to her for a couple of hours and said she seemed fine. And then 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday, I got a call from my brother. And when I saw his ID come up, I said, well, my father must have passed away because he had been ill. And when he said it was my mom, it was quite a shock. But yeah, she was known as the cookie lady.
She really was
And
an amazing woman, Mark.
The Annalees are waiting for you.
I know. I know. I mean, that was just a shocker and a surprise. But I got to tell you, I mean, throughout the time period that we were honored to get to know Miss Ellie, there were just things that, she would show up at the station when, she knew that we were finishing. This is also back when I did Through the Static and you did your show on Wednesdays. So we finished up at 6 o'clock and she would come and, Consuelo would be sitting with her and she would just bring things. Like she would just say, I thought maybe this would look nice, Stephen and Elix, in your house. And she gave us this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful nautical clock that, of course, is just perfect for living on the Cape and living, at the ocean. And everything was so thoughtful and like thought out, if you will, when she was just thinking of things and giving things to Consuelo and Elix and she was just and just it was certainly just not about her giving things. It was just about her presence and her goodness, and she was just one of those people that if you were lucky enough to be at a party and sit next to her, you are really lucky, because the conversations you were going to hear were going to be very interesting and fun, and she had just so many stories.
And you likely end up with a friend for life.
Yes.
Yes.
And
sure.
As a matter of fact, the wallpaper on my tablet is a group picture of Stephen, Elix, and Consuelo, and my mother and father and myself at Wright's Farm.
I love it.
It was somebody's birthday. I'm trying to remember because we had a cake.
It was Consuelo's,
It was
wasn't it?
Yeah.
My mom's birthday.
I
yes.
thought so.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I have that picture as my wallpaper, so I see her, every time I sign on, and I miss her terribly, and I took it very hard for a while. But she was always one that, if something like that happens, you move on. and you remember it. And she had quite the funeral, let me put it that way. It was quite a production because of just all the people that she knew from all the things she was in. She never sat around too much. she,
She
she was pretty active all the way, to the end.
she really
And
was. She really was. Now, Stephen, before because we're heading to the top of the hour, for anyone who is listening who also may have lost their mom and they're missing their mom, what is a message that you can give them from your perspective as a medium to give them some comfort during Mother's Day?
I think the quickest thing and the best thing to connect with your mom is to start with a memory, and and preferably a funny memory, or whatever memory just stands out with you and your mom. And let me just say this very quickly. One time, me, Elix, and my mother went to the Castle Cinema. It was like this theater that was in the neighborhood in Providence where I grew up, and it's no longer there. It's not open anymore, I don't think. In any case, we were there. We went to see this movie, and there were two kids many, many rows ahead of us. And Elix and I and my mother's in the middle, so we're just watching the movie, and these kids will like not stop talking, and they're kids and they're having fun. And so my mother looks at me and says, I just cannot believe that she is as bad as like the son. And I looked at her, I said, who are you talking about? And she says, those two right there. And I looked at them, I'm like, yeah. She's like, the mother and the son. One of the boys just happened to have a very big head and had a lot of hair. So my mother thought it wasn't two like 11-year-old boys. She thought it was the mother and the son. And like several times she said, this mother's like a little kid. And of course, me and Elix knowing it's two boys, I was crying in the theater. I could not stop laughing, and my mother's looking like, what are you laughing at? So finally, when we got out of the theater, I told her, and then my mother was hysterically laughing. So I bring that up because that's where you start. That's like the vehicle to then to pull you right into the frequency where your mother is. In spirit. When I say in spirit, it really means she's just around here. And that's where you just envision yourself back with your mom, and you could ask her, Ma, give me a sign. You can assign a sign. You can say, Ma, like have a bird come near me, a specific bird, a coin, a feather. It doesn't matter. But I think, you start with the memory because that just puts you in this like this wonderful frequency of just realizing and knowing that even though physically she's not here anymore, every other way she's here with you. And when you look at a picture of you and your mother, you have to know that your mother is on the side of you with her arm around you, looking at that picture with you.
I love that, Stephen. That's what a wonderful exercise for all of you who've lost your mothers. And for those who haven't and who will have that amazing opportunity to celebrate with your mom, make the most of it. And, remember those memories will last you an eternity. And I think, Stephen, before, we complete the show, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me at StephenTheMedium.com. That's my website, Stephen the Medium, on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. And I just recently got my blue check for Instagram because I was having so many people impersonate me. So I'm really excited about that. You can go to my website and book appointments and any other service that I have there. Check it out.
That's fabulous. And you can find me at Coach Elix anywhere on social media. And to all the incredible moms out there, today, Sunday, it's your day to shine. Your love, strength, and endless sacrifices don't go unnoticed. You are the heart and soul of your family, the glue that holds everything together. Your nurturing spirit and unwavering support make the world a better place. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. And today and Sunday, may you feel cherished and appreciated as you truly are. And we'll leave you with that. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Bye-bye.